Welcome to In an Instant. My name is Ben, and this is an Instant Lounge, Instant Live episode. We are celebrating 1 year of In an Instant. It's been an unbelievable year of coronavirus and friendships and instant photography. And so there is simply no place I'd rather be than on YouTube Live right now, flying off the seat of my pants, sitting with an SX70 that I've put a small party hat on because that's what today's all about. Just like vibing, appreciating sort of what's going on here. Okay, the chat is being attacked to the point where I almost don't understand what's going on, although I'm sure I love it in some regard. So this is sort of like the other lives. We're going sort of free form here. I'll accept questions. We'll just chat it out. It's very casual. And, you know, with 1 year of the channel having gone by, I figured this is just a good opportunity to have a good time. Have a good time with you folks, because, you know, the only reason that this exists, really, is because of you. And Forrest Burke has given me a shout-out to the haircuts. The haircut, the one that I have. Shout out to my local barber in Hastings, New York. They are doing just fantastic work in the COVID with the masks and doing their best. So, okay, how's it going down there in the chat? I think let's dive in. If anyone has any topics they want me to discuss, if anyone has any questions, I will pop in. George Trio loves the shirt. Thank you, George. This shirt is the reference to Strange Times in Wapakoneta, my new short film, which I dropped on Monday. And so I figured I gotta rock the swag, sort of timely. It's also my mom's birthday today. It's a big day. It's a big day. Joe Michelle, congrats and happy 1 Benny Bags. Love from Joni. Love you, Joni. Thank you for coming in here and sending some regards. Shelio says, dude, you single-handedly brought back my love for Polaroid. Thanks for breaking my bank account. Sorry about what I did regarding your bank account, but that kind of comment always means a lot to me because some people watch the channel and they're just like inspired to shoot Polaroid. I mean, that's what we're all about here. That's what we love doing. And when I see stuff like that, it means the most because all I can hope for is to provide some sort of creative juice. Shout out to Joe Michelle for her series Creative Juice on the future. All right, Lose Cameras Reviews asks, thoughts on the future? Just clarify whether you mean the future of Polaroid or the future of the channel, because I'd be happy to talk about that. Hot Pink Bulb asks, happy anniversary. What present did you get yourself? Well, I woke up this morning and I confronted the day with an open heart, and that was really the gift that I gave myself today. Toenails, how often do you cut them, says Julio Sosa. Really whenever Lauren brings it up. Forrest Burke says, my girlfriend wants me to go get burritos, but I want to stay here for the live. So here's the thing. You got to talk this out with your girlfriend. It's not cool at all that she asked you to get burritos during this live. It's frankly unacceptable. And I would say order them to be delivered. Give the delivery guys some love. Get the burritos to you without having to leave for it. Max says, nice haircut. Max did the big haircut last year. He went the full bald last year. And congratulations on that. Matt Hopkins wants to see the secret Polaroid Go prototype with an upside down face emoji, and to that I say nothing. Okay, Kaylin says, for real, thought honestly you are the main reason why I delve in more depth. Now I'm advanced. More advanced than my Box SX70. Jesus Christ. My Box 600 on the way to SX70. Very proud of how far you've come. I feel like the SX70 is the final boss for a lot of people. When anyone asks me sort of what to do here in terms of where do I start with the camera, I mean, I think starting with something you can get at a thrift shop is a great idea, but then ultimately you're going to get the SX70. So if you have a moment and you have some time and you have some cash laying around on the side, or if you got that stimmy check, just burn it on the SX70 and you'll be happy forever. Max Goldberg, thoughts on the future of the world? My thoughts on the future of the world is that things are going to turn around probably. Actually, not really sure. Someone had a good question. Okay, Kelton Wilmer said, have been shooting with the Reservat, I still don't know how that's pronounced, attachment. If so, how do you like it? I have not been using that yet because it's not delivered yet, but it should be getting here this week. Reservat, however that's pronounced, produced a really cool back for the SX70 and SLR 680 SLR type cameras, which can power it externally, so you can use I-type film in there. And that is huge for B, and very excited about it. I've been using the helicord attachment, which also lets you shoot I-type in the SLRs, and it's pretty good. It's a little long though. Lauren, Lauren is in the chat here. I know I saw Lauren say something about not letting the burrito girlfriend go hangry. I'm getting a call right now. Give me a break. Decline. Hopefully they stop calling. Vince Perry Jr. says, Wapakoneta forever. Shout out to Vince Perry Jr. Check out his YouTube channel after this live ends, because his videos are absolutely insane, phenomenal. You gotta be kidding me. Getting phone calls during this live? Know your place, Rook. Okay. The stream may have been stuttering because I'm getting phone calls. Corey says, love the show, Ben. Bought my first big boy Polaroid recently because of you. How careful are you with Polaroid temperature and light when developing? I am very careful with that. I tend to always store it in a pocket, always head right back into the Jeep, and make sure that that Polaroid's developing correctly. And a big announcement happened yesterday, and it's that Brooklyn Film Camera and Negative Supply Company, which make incredible products, are releasing a temperature-controlled unit that you can put film into right after it comes out of the camera. That's going to be really big, especially in the summer when it's like extremely hot out. It's really nice to be able to keep that film safe, because it will have strange development problems if you don't. Monica Manville says, what's your favorite Dharma station? I think I would probably go with the Flame, because there's a lot of video equipment in there. But the Swan is pretty great. I would love to just be locked underground forever. We're going to get Vince Perry Jr. some of those Gazette cookies, because everybody needs to try those. Yoop is in the chat. Shout out to you. Oh, great question from F. Rain. Again, the pronunciations are going to be off today. Even if you've told me how to pronounce your name right, I will still get it wrong today. It's just tradition. Efrain Camacho says, do you think Polaroid SX70 and 600 film will disappear soon? That is a really good question, because a lot of people are very concerned about that. Oh, Monica's calling me out. See, everyone's names are going to be pronounced wrong. People are concerned because I-type is obviously the primary direction of the company right now, in terms of, you know, I-type gets people to use I-type cameras. It gets them in the Polaroid system. It makes Polaroid the most money. It's the cheapest to produce because it doesn't have the battery. But what I'll say to that is, Polaroid isn't stupid. Just because they've slightly adjusted their business model doesn't mean they're interested in burning their customers and destroying their reputation with enthusiasts, because if they discontinued 600 film and SX70 film, people would riot. And I think a lot of people would absolutely stop shooting Polaroid film. So I'm pretty sure they're smart enough not to do that. Mock says, this live is an absolute visual treat. Easter eggs aplenty, frigging Dharma laptop, ton of merch, splash of neon. You know we got to do it up in here. Monica, one day I'll pronounce your last name right. Mainville? Jim Chabot says, can't wait, take my cash. Winter sucked. Winter is not great. Winter is very hard, period, for a lot of people to shoot Polaroid with. It's very cumbersome with film. You know, you're going to have all sorts of film development problems in the ice cold weather. And it's just tough because the colors aren't the same outside. It doesn't feel as bright, doesn't feel as Polaroid-y. Polaroid sort of screams spring and summer, and winter can be difficult. And even for me, I mean, I have to push myself sometimes to get out there with it, because it's tough. But spring is coming. It's March. It's friggin' March right now. JP says, what do you think about ants? I would like to give a huge, huge shout out to ants. Ants are doing so much to absolutely no recognition. They're puttering around in large groups, sort of doing this hive mind thing, building stuff, killing other ants, eating them, like tearing apart their bodies in the 3 pieces and eating that. It's really sick. I mean, ants are just great, and they're doing a lot for the community. Love the SX70 with the party hat, says amateur Polaroider. Yeah, this SX70 is doing amazing right now. Christopher Lindstrom says, I have the Polaroid now and OnePlus because of you and love them, but what do you think will be released in 2021, if anything new from Polaroid? Well, the Polaroid Go is coming at some point, and that was leaked. That's the extent I'll say, but that is something to look out for, and look it up. I mean, there's information online from the leaked stuff. Julio Sosa says, TL70 or SX70, your channel has sparked a burning passion in me that now requires me to burn my wallet. Currently have the Lomo Instant Y, but I'm looking to have something glass. Well, if you're looking for something glass, the TL70 is not a good option, but I'm always going to defer the SX70. I think if you're looking to get one camera and die tomorrow and go to the afterlife with a camera, go with the SX70. It's always going to be with you. The film is more expensive, obviously, but it's a forever camera. It's I think it's one of the greatest cameras. I think it's probably the greatest camera ever made for like the technological hurdles that needed to be made to even pull this off. That plus the film. I mean, the whole situation with the SX70 has such historical weight. We love the SX70. Monica says, does the Polaroid wearing the birthday hat feel confident and good about herself? She looked good. Look, she looks great right now, and she's doing amazing, and she feels amazing. And all these compliments for her is doing wonders. Also, wood grain finishing on this SX70, which, you know, we had to soup her up. We had to really get her outfitted for this live. We couldn't just come out, you know, no hat, bare back. Bare butt, balls, and back. Brendan Parker says, I love you forever. I love you forever. And I'm in love with you forever. Do ants shoot pack film? They probably shoot the Polaroid Go. Mock says, the announcement by Brooklyn Film Camera about the heating device looks marvelous. Sadly, not shipping to UK now. Ooh, that's tough. Shipping to the UK right now is a disaster. I don't know what the hell's going on in that country. Hashtag Brexit, my guy. I mean, getting anything shipped from the European Union right now is absurd. Right now, if I'm selling something, I'm not trying to ship it internationally because it's a nightmare. Yoop says, have you ever shot Type 59 4x5? I have shot a couple sheets of 4x5 Type 59. It's obviously super expired at this point. It's over 11 years expired. So the results were interesting and cool, and they smelled insane. I would probably love to shoot a fresh stored, not fresh, but a well-stored box of 59, and just to see what it looks like. But really old, expired pack film, I don't love the look of it that much. Occasionally, you can get something unbelievable. Like, I love the 690 shots we got on the NASA theme video. I thought that was sweet. Because sepia, those shifted sepia. And so sepia is a look. It's like a very accepted and it's like a well-known look for photography. So when something shifts sepia, it doesn't look that weird because it's like, oh, I'm familiar with sepia photography. When something shifts incredibly blue or green or has dots on the image or stuff like that, you start to sort of lose any sort of fidelity that is cognitively interesting. Shelio says, where do you keep your Polaroids? Photo book, box, display? I have a wide gamut of ways I store and display my Polaroids. I am definitely going to do, actually someone asked for a teaser earlier. Here's one. I am definitely going to make a video about all these storage methods. I have binders, I have binder sheet holders. I've got a huge Polaroid wall just off camera. Boxes that I keep them in as they're sort of drying over multiple weeks. So there's a lot to discuss there. I fully recommend going on B&H and getting some, what the hell are those called? Like the binder pages. I don't know, that hold photos. Get some of those. Polaroid's binders are great, but they start to deteriorate. Youb loves the smell of 669. Incast Studio says, I heard Fuji only has a particular amount of Instax film available in their vault. Is that true and they aren't producing it anymore? That's a very good question. Nobody, I don't think, really knows that. I personally think that that's a rumor. I don't think that that's something that's confirmed. The only reason I guess that would have happened is if local regulations prevented them from making Instax film anymore. That would be a disaster for Fuji. I mean, Fuji will survive. Fuji's an enormous company, but Instax is a major moneymaker. It's like hard to discount how popular Instax is and how much money it makes Fuji versus all their other cameras. Fuji is in the digital camera space. They have a bunch of awesome digital cameras, but they don't make anywhere near as much money as Instax, which is unreal. But Fuji also makes friggin' cosmetics. I mean, they'll do anything. Okay, Joan Worthman, Patreon donor, shout out. Just wondering, why go with a film back over a refurbished SX70 altered to use 600 film? To be able to choose different formats, is there a major difference? It depends on the camera you're talking about. If you're talking about something like the Goose, we don't have the visual effects or sound effects. Yeah, it's the fact that you can use pack film, you can shoot I-type, SX70, and 600 film all in camera. Even if you had an SX70 that was altered to be able to use 600 film, it still wouldn't be able to use I-type film without a conversion. So, like a battery conversion. So for something like the Goose, I highly recommend it because it's really fun. But I think I'm gonna probably really like the Resivu battery extension for the SLR cameras. Tony Sebastian's wishing me a happy anniversary, and thank you so much. I love you and I'm in love with you. Forrest Burke, print file negative sleeves. That's what I was talking about. Sleeves, I guess was the word I was looking for. We got 92 folks in the freaking live. Shout out to all 92 of you. You're doing amazing. Sunny D. Sunny's in the chat. Shout out to Sunny, my guy. Says, why won't Fuji give wide more love? Really good question. I think the reason that Instax wide doesn't get more attention from Fuji is probably because the wide format is not as well liked. I honestly think that it's less attractive to the customers who are looking for the nostalgia factor. Like the wide film doesn't look like Polaroid film. It doesn't even look like Polaroid Spectra film. It doesn't really have that bark to it. It is awesome, and I really hope that they don't discontinue it suddenly, but that's definitely the reason. I'm sure that it sells a lot less. For people like us who are enthusiasts who want to make larger images on instant film that are the same like dimensions as Polaroid, the wide film is an incredible compromise, but it is not probably something that's very popular. Even if they kept producing cameras for it, even if they promoted it more, I don't think it would be as popular. Kelton Wilmer says honk. Incast Studio says the Goose. Blues Pinewood says, on what planet I was living this month? That's a question I just simply can't answer, my man. I simply can't answer that. What would your... Oh, this is a fun hypothetical. Amateur Polaroider says, what would your ideal instant camera be? The rules are... Oh, hold on. The rules are it can't take Polaroid film or Instax wide. Well, then what... I refuse to answer that question. If it can't take Polaroid film or Instax wide, it is not my ideal camera in any way. However, as Brendan Parker mentions, the Fratty, which was the mocked-up camera I made, which is a Polaroid Spectra I-type camera, I'd say that would be pretty nice with a glass lens. Matt Hopkins is giving a shout-out, and I will do that as well, to Jesse Wisdom, who is a moderator on the In an Instant Discord channel, which is a beautiful place to be. And really thankful for him for all he does there and helped me start that and everything. Jesse Wisdom says, when is Polaroid going to restock 8x10 film? I hear that it's probably going to happen in about a month. I don't think any deadlines are set in stone anymore with anything during COVID, but that's what I've heard. Jocelinda says, oh man, I'm late. You're not late, really? We've only been live for 18 minutes, and I'm going to stick around. Matt Hopkins says, I'm voting for the Reservoir pronunciation. Reservoir. Oh my God. I mean, there's so many. You could go Reservat, Resivu, Reservat. I think the T is probably silent. I don't understand because it's an Asian company, so they wouldn't have a French name. Akin says, you mentioned SLR camera I-type conversions. Who makes those? Also, congrats on 1 year. Thank you. Helicord Camera makes a really cool one. I think someone called Pola Studio makes one. Resivat or Resivu makes one that they just released that is like the highest end version of that product so far, I think. And so a couple of us have them coming in. Mine's going to come in this week. Monica wants to see Lauren. Oh, Lauren's in the chat. Lauren is in the chat. Alan Walden, shout out to Alan, says happy anniversary. Where's Lauren? Is she hiding off camera? Hi, Lauren. Lauren is not here right now. She's at work, as she's mentioned in the comments, but she is lurking. And the power of the lurk. That is what's happening here. And we love the lurk. Matt Hopkins wants the hard T in Reservat. I don't know. Okay. Mark Tushin is asking if the Discord channel is open for everyone. It is. One of the easiest ways to get the link is to DM me or join the Patreon, because if you join the Patreon, you get a link, you get a badge. It's a bit of a vanity thing to get. Oh my God. Oh, I've accepted the call. Hi, I will call you back in a moment, in about an hour. I don't even know if they could hear me. I just hung up. Hopefully that was a telemarketer. I don't know why they were calling me so many times in a row, but that's okay. Okay, getting phone calls in the freaking live. We got 105 people in this live. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go, guys. This is hype. This is hype. We've topped the century mark. Hot Pink Bulb says, if Lauren can bunk off at work to be on the live chat, everyone should be here, to be honest. And I agree. I totally agree with you. Kelton says we should call it by its real name, the Power Ranger. It's true. Reservoir has named their I-type back the Power Ranger, which is absolutely copyrighted. And I don't know why they did that. But it's a really fun pun. Oh my God. Brendan Parker says the call was the doctor calling to let Ben know he's pregnant. My gosh, that would be a real shock. Great thing to happen on the 1-year anniversary of the channel. Chris C says, in your opinion, would you convert an SX70 to take 600 film or keep it as is? I think that totally depends on what kind of shooter you are. I think that the best case scenario is getting something like the Mint 670 because it has a switch where you can go back and forth between the formats. I think that SX70 film in an SX70 looks very fantastic. I think it's ideal, but it's undoubtedly hard to use in lower light situations. So I can see why someone would want to shoot 600 film. It's not like you're saving much money by just buying SX70 or 600, but SX70 film is harder to buy. It's been selling out pretty routinely. Maybe they'll get back on track with that. But for now, I honestly would think shooting 600 film is maybe a better idea. If you get an I-type conversion, the camera's already sort of ready for that. So I think that would be the way to go. If I was like definitely making that decision, ideally you just have both, but I get that everyone can't do that. People are asking me about the Polaroid Go. Just blanket statement. Not going to talk about the Polaroid Go on this live. But anyway, Amateur Polaroider says, "What instant film will be most likely to return?" Well, the new film type that's coming out, I just said I wouldn't talk about. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I've literally gotten 5 calls from 5 different people. How do I turn on Do Not Disturb? I literally don't know. I guess I could. I don't know. I'm just going to have to keep hanging up on these people. Nintendo Switch Polaroid Edition. Oh, interesting. Okay, we got an explanation. Rezivot comes from the Slavic word for life. Zivot. The Z pronunciation is like S. So it's a res. Well, that's not really the main issue we're having with the word. It's the end of the word. So is it resivot? I don't know. It's good. We're in the weeds here. Looks like Maddie's in the chat. Shout out to Maddie. Hello, Polo Pals. Yeah, this is fantastic. George Trio asks what directors have inspired me in my filmmaking. I think early on, Christopher Nolan was. I don't think now he really is, but Memento was like my favorite movie growing up, and that really inspired me. I think most of my inspirations at this point are from television series like Fargo, Lost, obviously, and shows like that are luscious visually, but obviously have the content to back it up that aren't just eye candy. And I think I could go down the freaking line on that. Vince Gilligan is obviously a god. Brendan Parker says Ben has a Polaroid Go right under the desk. I promise you I don't. Oh my God. Hold on. Sorry, guys. All right. Back in the mix. Okay. Back in the mix, notifications. What Polaroid camera did you own as a kid? That's a great question because I actually don't know the answer. I know we had a Polaroid Spectra, and because there's a bunch of photos of me as a young child on Spectra, I'm going to guess we had something like a Sun 660 or like a Sun 600, like one of those fold-out ones, because that's like in my memory what I can remember. What kills me is that we obviously sold those cameras at some point. There's a bunch of cameras we have from my childhood, like TLRs and like an old Nikon SLR that we still have. But I guess the Polaroid was looked at as like a cheaper thing, so we could throw it out. I don't know. Jesse Wisdom asks if I like Wes Anderson. I definitely love Wes Anderson, but his style is almost inaccessible to me because there's no way to like go out and shoot like Wes Anderson. Because his sets are so crafted. Everything is so crafted, which is amazing, but it's very hard to get to that point without a higher budget, without a production designer that's an absolute genius. So I try not to like aspire to be Wes Anderson or aspire to his aesthetic necessarily, because it seems almost impossible. He's certainly someone, I love how he organizes the frame, and I love how his cinematography works in terms of, you know, his how he crafts a frame, but it's hard to sort of replicate that. Matt Hopkins, Polaroid PR team blowing up about how make sure he doesn't talk about the Polaroid Go. Yeah, that's what all these text messages are. It's warning, warning. We've got a code red. Do not talk about the Polaroid Go. Do not talk about the Polaroid Go. Okay, our stream health looks good. Oh my God. All right. Happy anniversary. Thanks for the channel. Thank you, Diego. Shout out to Diego. Raymundo says congrats on the first anniversary. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, hopping in. I know it's very hard to. I know people are asking questions. I gotta like keep scrolling because it's so. We got 113 people in the chat. That's it. Okay, Kylan says, do you think we will see Polaroid eventually focus on more international markets such as Canada and more of Asia? That's an interesting question because it's something I'm a little bit out of touch with. I'm not sure what it's like to. I mean, I know Polaroid is an internationally beloved thing. It's a worldwide phenomenon, Polaroid, and it certainly was back in the day. And I know that there's a Polaroid Asia Instagram account that seems to post awesome stuff, and I'm sure they have a strong focus in Asia because, you know, Fuji Instax is huge out there, and if Polaroid can hit in Asia, despite having lower brand recognition, that would obviously be big for business. But that's perhaps our first big for business shout out. Julio Sosa says, YOLO, bought a Lomography 4x5 back right after watching your video. Is the Intrepid the best bang for your buck starting point for diving into full frame film photography? He means large format film photography. Intrepid is the best bang for your buck in terms of 8x10 photography. It is not the best bang for your buck in terms of 4x5. You can get much less expensive 4x5 cameras. I've had a very, very difficult time with Intrepid because my 8x10 has had light leaks, and it's been very difficult for them to replace it, the back for it. And at this point, I'm not really sure I can recommend Intrepid because of the difficulties that I'm having with the company. I was going to do a video on it. I was like going to be so hype about it. I do like the camera a lot, and I like what it can do for you, but it's tough because I'm not trying to make a video where I like shit talk a small company. You know, I'm doing it right now on the live, but in terms of like releasing a video for something like that or advocating that people buy it, I'm not sure I can do that at this point. But if you're doing like 4x5 stuff, I would just look for a speed graphic or something. There's a million of them that were made, and they're like $300 USD, so I would recommend that. Nate Netsley, shout out to Nate, says, hey, Benny Bags, what are your plans for year 2 of In an Instant? So something that I really hope shapes up this year is people get vaccinated. And something that I really wanted to do when I launched this channel was doing more personal stories about other Polaroid photographers and really getting to meet other artists and document their work and do little short films and short docs. And that stuff obviously has not been remotely possible to do because of the Rona. But I'm going to get the vaccine soon, and hopefully other people will. Apparently by July, a lot of people will have had it. And if I can possibly interact with some of those people, cover some of those people, travel a little bit safely, I definitely will be doing more doc stuff on the channel, which is something I'm really excited about. Film how you like. Yamin. Yo. He's in the chat. Freaking Intrepid. Yeah. They left me no choice. They're trying their best, but their best might not be good enough. Ooh, that is tough. Hot Pink Bulb asks, how many instant photos have you taken over the last year? Too many to count. I know what the binder from 2020 looks like, and it was fat. It is really fat. It's breaking the binder, in fact, and a bunch of them are not even inside the binder. So I could actually probably calculate it, but I almost don't want to. I probably have like, I could probably look through my scans and see and sort of count it. It's probably over 1,000. I have no idea. It's too much. We can't talk about that. Aitken asks, I've looked everywhere. Where can I join the Discord at? You just got to DM me or join the Patreon because you'll get a link if you do. Yoop says, I really want a Hasselblad with the back for Instax Square. I haven't seen that many square backs for the Hasselblad. I know there's a lot of Instax mini backs for that. I'm like, why would you shoot Instax mini on a Hassie or any of the other Instax mini conversions for SLRs? I feel like Instax mini is obviously very easy to produce products for because it's closer to medium format, but the format is so small. I'm not like I have the TL70. I know what the experience was like of spending some extra cash to get an Instax mini camera that's good, and I can say from experience, I personally don't think that's worth it. So Instax Square is a little bit larger, so that's nice, but yeah. Jesse Wisdom, Analog Wisdom on in an instant. I don't know what he's saying, but shout out to Jesse Wisdom again. I'll just keep shouting out Jesse. I love Jesse. Callan is asking about recommendations for binder sleeves. The print file sleeves that I think are 3.5 inches wide. Look for that. I think it's like 3.5 by 5 inches or something. I don't have the information in front of me, but DM me and I'll tell you. Kelton Wimmer says, this is a softball question. Have you spent more money on Polaroid cameras or Polaroid film? The film. The film is definitely the most expensive thing about this hobby. That's partially why when someone is asking me what camera to get, I'm like, just get the SX70. Like, you're gonna be spending a lot more money on the film down the line. I wouldn't worry that much about how much this camera is gonna cost. If you're actually trying to get into this hobby and like shoot a lot of Polaroids, the camera that you're gonna get is a minor investment for a much longer play financial investment in the film. Not that I'm negging the film. Obviously, I buy a lot of it, and there's ways you can get it cheaper through deals and on Mercari and join the loyalty program. Let me just take a sip of water. Thank God I haven't had a phone call in 5 minutes. What a relief. Josiah Anderson says, what factor, camera, either the lens, light meter, has the largest effect on a Polaroid camera's quality? The lens, by far, not even close. It's the lens. That's why the SX70 and the SLR680 and the 690 are king. It's the lens. The lens is everything. These are just containers that light goes into, and what the light passes through is the most important thing about your photo. So get a glass lens camera. Amateur Polaroider says, do you own a separate fridge for film? Unfortunately, I have two fridges. That one of them was a wine fridge, much to Lauren's chagrin. There's no wine in it anymore. It's just film. So I have film in the studio and I have film at home. Part of me is worried that like something's gonna burn down. That's a morbid thing to say, but like if like something happens to one of these spaces, I want to make sure my film is in a separate location. So in terms of like archiving too, I want to make sure like all my stuff isn't in one place. All my cameras aren't in one place. I am nervous about that, especially because we had like someone terrorized our building a couple months ago and freaking opened a giant water thing, and it rushed through the building and almost flooded everything. So thank God. Max wants us to stop reminding him how much he spent on film. I will absolutely stop doing that right now. Maddie says, Macro 5 gang in the chat. Macro 5 is an amazing camera. I borderline thinking to potentially buy it from Scott Walker, who lent it to me, and really thinking that camera is amazing. It's very inconvenient, the process of having to get around the fact that Spectra's discontinued. Going to be curious to see if the Polaroid Go film can be more easily adapted into the Macro 5. I think that would be really interesting. There was a rumor initially that Spectra machinery was converted for that new product, but I don't really think that makes... It doesn't mean that the film is the same height as Spectra. It's not, I don't think. So at least it's smaller. The issue with putting a 600 film inside Macro 5 is that it's too deep when you insert it. Too deep. Ooh. Excuse me. If I'm going to ooh-wee, I have to have a properly watered larynx. Ooh-wee. Can't do it. Maybe I'll do it later. It's tough. You gotta be. You can't be talking too much and then ooh-wee. Jesse Wisdom is remarking that I've mentioned the 690, and yeah, I will give a shout out to the 690. It does exist. I'm not trying to erase it from history. Business idea: fire waterproof photo storage container. That would be nice. That would be nice. I would love, Shilio says, I would love a building tour. I know you talk a little bit about the history on the Analog Talk podcast. Yeah, this building that we're shooting in, just to mention it again, I'm sure a lot of people know this, but it's a very historic building because Cosmopolitan Magazine constructed this place a long time ago, the last 5 years of the 1800s. They made this like incredible building. It is unbelievable. It's like, it's got these giant Roman pillars and it's so cool. Then they left. They went to New York City and they left this building here. This building is like 35 minutes from the city. And this building was then occupied by a silent movie studio. There was some production stuff for the wars that happened in this building. Now it's like a bunch of studio spaces and offices. So very cool that we're in this building. I mean, we've got exposed pillars inside the studio that used to be on the outside of the building. It's so cool. Hot Pink Bulb says, how much Spectra film you got stashed? I probably have six packs left of color. I recently got like 2 more black and white packs. I'm not like fretting. I'm also like, I'm aware that Spectra is gone. Like I'm past the point of mourning it that much. It's very upsetting, obviously, but I've come to grips with it and I'm not too stressed about my film running out because I'm like already resigned to the fact that it will go. We've laid it to rest. I feel I've already sort of ceremoniously watched it drift off into the abyss, and now I'm just sort of in that post period of the sun has already set. I'm just enjoying the lighting. Got my Spectra film. Whatever comes out, comes out. Ooh, good question from David Sibis. How do you get yourself motivated to go out and shoot in your neighborhood? Rona's been hard on all of us. This is the question of COVID because it's very hard, and especially if your main area of interest in photography is not your own neighborhood. So it sort of forces you to shoot stuff you wouldn't necessarily want to shoot. Certainly has happened to me. If you can, I would say doing like little road trips out into the woods or out into a small town that you're not going to interact with anybody and it's going to be safe. If you can do that, if you can afford yourself that, that can be very creatively stimulating and get yourself out of your routine, because the routine is like the main thing of COVID. Like you're doing the same thing every day. It's tough. But, and the other thing is sometimes, I mentioned this in an Instagram post a long time ago, but I was going through kind of a little rut myself, and I decided to just pick a time of the day when I knew the light was going to be like amazing outside. And I just went out. I just said, I'm not looking for anything in particular. I'm just going to go out. The light's going to look good. It's hard to miss when the light looks great. And it was a very like rejuvenating experience. I think everyone should make an appointment with light every once in a while. Get out there, shoot a bit. Okay. Have you shot Kodak instant cameras lately, says Amateur Polaroider? No, unfortunately. Oh my God, hold on. Jesse Wisdom is like trying to get me fired up. He just said Spectra is overrated. And I've heard him say this before. And he says hashtag hot take. It is a hot take because I'm getting fired up right now, real hot. I think that if you think Spectra is overrated, it's possible you haven't shot it much. I mean, when you see a Spectra shot, it is large format Polaroid photography. It's unbelievable. It's an incredible scope, this image. It's so much larger than 600 film, and it's amazing seeing that chemistry come alive on film of that size. Plus the fact that the cameras, although they didn't have SLR, obviously they did have a couple SLR type cameras, but most of the cameras were good, and the images you can pick up a little doinker and go out and shoot with it, and you get amazingly sharp images on Spectra on this larger format size. So nuts. I mean, massive shout out to Spectra. I'm always going to support it. JP says, will you be doing an InstantCon RF70 review anytime soon? Yes, there will be a RF70 review, I think in April. I've got my schedule sort of worked out, but I think like late April we're going to get an RF70 review. Sunny says, would you buy an SF70 or is the RF70 the better camera? So the cameras are almost identical. The SF70 and the RF70 are, Lawrence, we got an echoey mic so we can make sounds into it and it echoes, and she's saying we missed the opportunity to have it on live, which is 100% true. That would have been hilarious. Okay, back to the question. I would say the RF70 is in my preference, the camera to get over the SF70. If you get the SF70, it's only because you like the square film better. I think the benefit of using the RF70 with the wide film and getting a camera that can do stuff that no other wide camera can do, that's sort of a game changer. If you want to shoot square film, you can shoot with the Lomo Instant Square glass. There's some backs you can get for that. And I think adapters and stuff like that are going to become more easily available soon after like COVID slows down and people can produce stuff on that scale again. But I would say the RF70, 100%. Emily Gallagher says, congratulations, Ben. I love the sweatshirt. Oh, thank you so much. Again, referencing the short film that we dropped this week. Ralph Hoskins is in the chat. Shout out to Ralph. I would take Spectra over any instant format every day. Good day to you, sir. Woof. I like that fire, Ralph. Ralph's coming in hot. Yeah, I mean, in terms of integral film, I think Spectra is hard to beat. I also love the aspect ratio of Spectra. I think what is missing with Instax wide is that it's so wide. It's really wide and really short. It's the same height as Instax Mini and Instax Square, obviously. They're all the same height. So that makes it so elongated. It's like, it's not a 16:9 aspect ratio, but it's super wide, uncomfortably so for most situations. So Spectra was perfect because it was a little bit more squarish. You know, we're not getting crazy with our rectangles. Oh gosh, Jesse was burned by Spectra, and that's why he's so pissed. He spent $300 on Spectra cameras. I don't know why you did that. That was really your first mistake. And got 2 to 3 good images at best. Look, I'm upset for you, but HP says, how do you feel about Polaroids not being so environmentally friendly? My thought on that is that in terms of the environmental look at film in general, I think film is so niche that it's not having a huge impact on the environment, honestly. There was a time, like I would say, flashback to 2003, absolutely, film had a huge impact on the environment. Kodak was producing an insane amount of film back then. Fuji, worldwide distributors using tons of chemicals, which were really bad for the environment. Polaroid was still popular, somewhat. And it was obviously a bad thing. Now, it's such a niche product. I really don't think that it has a footprint that's worth really narrowing your eyes on and really worrying about too much. Plus, you can recycle most of the components of Polaroid. Obviously, the chemistry is what it is, but you can break down the cartridge, recycle the plastic, recycle the battery. There's ways to get the most out of that. Alan says, my husband balks at the cost of film that I buy. I don't buy less now that I ended up hiding the boxes and the empty cartridges. Does that make me a Polaroid-aholic? Alan, you are playing a dangerous game, my friend, and I support you in anything you do, but that is a dangerous game, my friend. Vander says, has the folding on your SLR 680 gotten better since the I-Type mod? You mean the physical fold of the camera? Like collapsing it? I would say no. It's been much harder to fold the camera. I wouldn't have really brought that up here, but it is much harder to fold the camera when you've replaced the base of it because it gets like tighter and it's plastic in a way that's not smooth. So that is my main concern about that actually at this point is the inability to close it and open it very easily. So yeah. Ben Snow says, do you think Fuji's allergy to R&D will ever be cured? I don't think so. I think Fuji has found their place in the market, and they are not going to do anything more than they're already doing. Expect more plastic cameras. Expect more hybrid digital film cameras. Don't expect anything more than that, and you won't be disappointed because that's just the way it is with Fuji. They're not going past that. Joe Saunders says, anyone else taking up way too much in their way too much in the fridge film-wise? Certainly. Oh my God, my dad's in the chat. Happy anniversary. Shout out to my pops. You saw him on the bike in the 8x10 video. He was just swagging in that video. I mean, everyone was like, dude, who is your dad? That is insane because he is swagging in this video. I think it was nice to expand the In an Instant universe to include more of the family. Now, if you go back to some videos, I think you would see my dad more often because I've taken a bunch of Polaroids of him, but that was a nice little formal intro to the father unit. Jesse is now talking about how he spent $40 on 2 different Spectra cameras. He spent a bunch on film. He tried hard to give it a chance, just got in the game too late. That's a good, honest response to why you don't like Spectra. But I wouldn't blame Spectra for that. Spectra was already gone or close to gone by the time you were getting into it, so I wouldn't blame the format. Okay. Lauren says the haircut is really landing, getting a lot of love. The haircut was awesome. Just a quick anecdote about this haircut. I went to this place in town that I've only gone a couple times, and it was just me in there. I've been cautious, obviously, about getting haircuts because of COVID. And some kid walks in, 20-year-old kid, just absolute raw dogs a pitch to the owner of this haircutting place. Can you give me a job? I will cut hair anytime you want me to. Like, this is my passion. I just went to barber school. It was amazing. I was just sitting in this chair watching this kid like pitch his heart out and succeed. Like, he showed the barber some pictures of hair he'd cut, and the guy was like, "You're pretty good." And it was just like an inspirational thing, like not Polaroid related. I guess cutting hair is artistic, and it was just cool to watch like that transpire. Just to be around that was cool. A little inspiration while I got my hair cut. Nothing wrong with that. Dan says, where can we snag your photo book? If you just Google, I think if you just Google Roadside Hudson Valley, Ben Fraternale, you'll find the book. Certainly if you search it on Blurb, you'll find it that way. Or you can go to the video I made about it, and the link is in the description. Mock says, the man with the Triumph and the cigars is in the chat. Hello, sir. Yes, that is my father right there. He's got his Triumph bike. The weather's warming up. About to see him on 2 wheels a little bit more often. Hot Pink Bulb says, the slick haircut is chef's French kiss. That's what I said to the barber, and then I walked out before hearing his reaction, because it probably couldn't have been very good. GB263 asks a question that 122 people in this chat. Let's go. Are you planning on doing another photo shoot trip similar to your Roadside Hudson Valley in the near future? The answer to that is I've already done it, which is exciting. I haven't told that. I actually mentioned it on a podcast that's going to come out in like a couple months, but I did. I have a second book that I'm planning. I haven't designed anything yet. I haven't even scanned the images yet, but I'm very excited about it. I think it's really cool. I love how the shots came out. It's like a cousin to the Roadside Hudson Valley book. It's a different location, but very excited about that book. Taking a quick sip of water. The other thing was I didn't want to release 2 books like back to back. I'm not trying to like be nuts like that. Oh my God. Monica says, kiss, marry, kill. And thank you for using the censored version of that. Spice Girls Polaroid, Barbie Polaroid, MTV Polaroid. Okay, I would say I would kiss. I guess I would kiss the Barbie Polaroid. I would marry the MTV Polaroid, and I would kill the Spice Girls as a band. Sunny D says, Lomo back or RF70? So as I addressed in that video, in the video I made about the Lomo back, because some people are like asking about, asking about should I get this camera? Or should I get an Instax wide camera, or should I get this Lomo back? My response to that person in the video holds true, and it's that don't think of them as the same thing. Definitely don't think, should I get an Instax wide camera or should I get the Lomo back? Because they are going to have separate uses for you. You're not going to go out and shoot stuff with the Lomo back in the same way you would shoot with an RF70. If you want to go outside and take some pictures, you're going to use the RF70. If you're doing like a more formal photo shoot, if you're proofing images, if you're taking a lot more time with each individual shot and you're not just trying to walk around, then the Lomo back would be for you. I would say if you're very into Instax wide film, I'm not suggesting you buy the RF70, but you would get both in this hypothetical. If you had the money, you'd be buying both. Or buy a Instax wide 300 and a Lomo back or something. Jay Tamer says, what's your dream photo? These are great questions, by the way. What's your dream photo shoot? Well, the NASA shoot was up there for me. But I'm very interested in expanding that concept. And so I think something like that, but going a little bit deeper, possibly more narratively, would be a dream shoot. I would love to use instant film for like more historical purposes, maybe photographing like a president on Polaroid 8x10. A president. I'd take any. I'd take Jimmy Carter. Why not? Yeah, I also do want to do some skate stuff coming up. Skate is kind of hard to shoot on Polaroid because you have to really have good control of your settings. Shooting auto, if you have a slow shutter speed, you're missing a trick. you're missing you're missing the shot. So and it's just hard to catch moments on Polaroid like that. But I would love to do a skate video. One of my friends growing up is now a professional skateboarder, and he's awesome. His name is Black Dave. Check him out on Instagram. He's a rapper and a skater. So I think I want to do something with him after COVID, and it's safe to do it. Jesse Wisdom says, not instant related, but what is your top 3 medium format films? Okay, so number one medium format film is absolutely Ektachrome. There's no doubt about that. Ektachrome is like bae. I think Portrait 400 would be number 2, or Portrait 800, I guess, but I don't shoot 800 very much. But I'd say Portrait 400 is just an incredible film. I actually need to shoot more 160 because I'm curious if I'd love it. And then Ilford Delta 3200 is like a miracle that exists. There's a 3200 speed black and white film by Ilford, so it's cheaper and it's really good. And yeah, so I would definitely give a big shout out to Ilford. Would love Ilford to one day come out with a color film. We'll see if they ever do that. A lot of people saying happy anniversary. Thank you so much. Sorry if I'm missing some comments. It's obviously going kind of quick in here. I'm trying to catch up. Lauren Brown says, this is divisive. Spice Girls are iconic. I mean, shout out to the Spice Girls, but of the trio, I would definitely kill them. Pavel says, which camera delivers more mood and atmosphere, the SQ6 or the Lomo Instant Square Glass? Is there really a point to search for sharpness in instant photography? That's a great conceptual question in terms of shooting for sharpness or searching for sharpness. If you're looking for mood and atmosphere, the Instax cameras are not for that. So to address the first part of your question, if you're looking for a different look to your instant film, I would suggest the Lomo Instant Square Glass. I would suggest the Lomo Diana Mini, because that camera gives a drastically different mood to any other instant camera out there. I think that's the like benefit of that camera, is that you can shoot like really interesting shots with that. And in terms of shooting for sharpness in instant photography, I think that's totally based on the shooter. I mean, I personally come from a background of trying to shoot sharp photography. My film photos, I'm always going for sharpness and fidelity. In my digital work, obviously. And that desire just carries over into instant film. That's just what I like in a photo. But obviously I love the dreaminess of instant film, and I'm not going for like a sharp digital looking image. That's absolutely not it. Otherwise I would only shoot Fuji, which I don't do. So it's a balance. I think if you're someone like me and you're looking to resolve detail, shape an image, be creative with how you create imagery, Polaroid film speaks to me a little bit more, and sharpness matters to me in terms of what I'm focusing on or what I'm not focusing on. So that's really my answer to that. I could probably keep going about that, but Mock says, speaking about my Lost documentary, was that the real Dr. Chang? Yes, that was Francois Chow, the actor. If you saw my last short film or my film on Lost, the actor Francois Chow, who you've seen in probably some Marvel movies and stuff, he's been in an insane amount of stuff. He was the voiceover for that. Okay, all right, sorry, there's tons of questions. I'm just trying to catch up. Jojo Gomez says, do you think you would ever do anything with Polachrome? The answer is yes. I've shot a bunch of Pola Pan. I was originally going to make a video about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but it's really sick. I have Polachrome loaded into my Mamiya 35mm camera right now. I haven't shot with it yet because my battery died, which that's the reason to get a mechanical camera, so that never happens. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to pour through some of these. Okay, this is an interesting question. Not Polaroid related, but as far as medium format cameras for somebody just getting into medium format, what do you recommend? I would recommend a Mamiya 645 or something like that, or a TLR. I mean, there's certainly tons of TLRs you can get shooting 6x6 and getting like insane results on that for much lower than any other kind of camera. There's tons of old TLRs to buy. I recommend maybe looking into a TLR. If you like medium format look and you want to sort of experiment with it, and then maybe you could graduate to like, not graduating to 645, but there's some really cool 645 cameras. I personally shoot on that, so that's just like where I'm coming from. You get a lot of shots per roll. It's pretty great. Ralph asks if I've ever shot Super 8. I actually don't. The development costs are too high for me. I just don't like I feel like I would not enjoy that much. Like maybe I would do like I have a bunch of Super 8 cameras. I'd probably love to just fire off one roll of like Ektachrome Super 8, but in terms of like getting into the habit of doing that, I wouldn't want to spend that much money. Speaking of someone like freaking idiot who spends like insane amount of money on Polaroid film over here, hypocrite. Oof. Captain Chaos says, I took my SX70 to the Kennedy Space Center about 8 years ago. That is, just to cut you off, reading your comment, absolutely something I would love to do, by the way. I really want to shoot a launch sequence on Polaroid. I think that would be so sick. I screwed up the tour guide. She stopped mid-sentence and asked if it was real and if it worked. Love to hear it. Introducing tour guides to Polaroid film. Sunny D's asking for an Diana Instant Square review. I don't own the camera, so some people have offered to lend it to me. I'm just like, I'm not really sure. I mean, camera reviews are really tough. I think camera reviews are great for me when I'm like experimenting with something or I'm like actually trying something and I'm really excited about it. I don't know that I love the idea of doing camera reviews where like I'm not personally that invested in the camera and I'm just doing it to do it because people asked for it. It's difficult because I want to provide value obviously on the channel, but it's a balance I'm still working on. I feel like if people really want a Diana Mini review, Square review, I'll look into it. Brendan Parker is asking, besides duochrome, what are some other chemical, as in not just special frame, special editions you'd like to see? I don't think that there's other special editions that I would really like to see. I think duochrome is really cool. Maybe, I mean, I'm not sure that this would personally be up my alley, but like manipulation film, like film that stays wet for longer so that you can separate it and get lifts easier, that would be cool, at least a different product for people to use, sort of like the artistic TZ SX70 film that they released. I think that would be an interesting thing. I think if they just keep coming out with duochrome stuff, people will dig it. If they make circle frame film again, people will rip it. People will rip that film. People will love that stuff. Ben Snow, do you think it's worth shooting on a plastic lens medium format camera, or is it just a waste of halide compared to glass 35mm? If you're talking about something like a Holga, or something that I personally wouldn't do that, but again, it's all preference. I'm never gonna like tell someone what they should do. I'm just telling what I personally wouldn't do. I wouldn't shoot a plastic medium format camera, a plastic lens medium format camera, because I just don't think you're getting the most out of that format. It's just not personally my taste. That's all I can say, really. That's all I can ever say. Is this my taste? Would I like this? Not really. Julio Sosa says, if I'm dead set on living that TLR lifestyle, is the TL70 a good move? Sorry, we got a lot of footsteps. The TL70 is an incredibly cool camera. It's so cool for instant film. Just an awesome thing that exists historically, but I don't know. It depends. Are you interested in Instax mini film being your main format? I think if you're really trying to get into a TLR, you should get a regular, normal TLR. People are giving hashtag Team Lauren here. Am I getting canceled or something? Let me just check. Oh God. The topic of hummus has somehow come up. Lauren is pro hummus. I am not pro hummus. I mean, have you looked at hummus? Like, have you just looked at hummus? Like, just look at hummus. Like, I'm just looking at hummus. I'm like, I don't think I would ever want to eat that. That just doesn't look like something I would really like to eat, to be honest. Joan says, while you're right about the TL70 not becoming a go-to camera, it's a great fun for learning about TLRs and is a good way to please or make friends by giving them the photos they pose for. Definitely. The TL70, if you can afford to have it as like a side piece, it's a great camera to be able to like take a nice Instax Mini shot on and hand it away because it's Instax Mini, so you don't have to worry too much about it. I think it's one of the best in terms of Instax Mini cameras. Hold on. Just got to plug this in. Introduce an ugly wire into the stream, which is not really something I wanted to do. Let's tuck this. Ben's dislike of a lot of foods is a hot topic. It really is. You don't want to get me started about fish. I am not a fan of fish. I mean, again, swimmers? My gosh, you got to be kidding me. Have I hid this wire adequately? Is it nice looking? Probably not. Whatever. Oh my God. Matt is talking about ruining a grilled cheese sandwich with hummus. That's absurd. Favorite Community episode and why? That's impossible. I love Community is probably my favorite comedy of all time. I would probably say the probability episode. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of it, but the one where they rolled the die and 6 separate realities transpire based on how it rolled. That is a chaos theory or remedial chaos theory. That episode is easy pick, but it's incredible. Kelton Wimmer's asking for more In an Instant merch. Possibly soon. Again, there's a limit to really what I can do in terms of merch because I'm worried about copyrights a little bit. But the stuff on my store I think is pretty adequate for now. Oh my God, Brendan's talking about hummus and hot sauce in mac and cheese. What are you doing, dude? Ian McKellen says, I'm a huge Impulse AF guy. Excuse me. The Impulse AF is awesome. I'm actually doing a video about the Sun 660 and the Sun 660 and the Impulse AF right now, sort of in lieu of this 1 year thing. 1 year since I did the first video, which was the second video was the Impulse AF review. So I'm doing a little like comparison video review. I thought it would be cute to do for like the 1 year. So that's a little teaser. I think that's coming in 2 weeks, I think. Kelton's trying to rock this In an Instant merch on Fashion Week, which I highly recommend. We are now 1 hour into the stream. Come to Brazil, says Nama Zain, which I will never pronounce properly. I'm sure that I butchered that. We're definitely looking to go on like a world tour after COVID is fixed. We'll see how it goes. Incast Studio says, your videos are always well done. Do you think it would be big for business to make a guide? Also, congrats on 1 year of amazing content. Thank you so much. The next series that is going to be added to the channel is a guide-based series. It's going to be called the Instant Guidebook. I'm going to do some episodes about storing Polaroids, about lighting, about a bunch of like technique-based things and stuff that I think will help people a bit. Dude, I can't say your name. If I can't pronounce someone's name, I feel very bad. And or it's funny. But he's corrected me so many times. I should know it by now, but I'm not good with that. Daniel Suzuki says, have you been to Polacon? I was in Polacon this last year. I was on the panel. I was like one of the segment panelists, and so we did like a live. It was sick. It was really fun. I've not been to the physical Polacon, obviously, but I can't wait to go to the next one physically when that's possible. Ralph Hoskins says, I need to get an Impulse AF. I think if you have enough cameras at this point, you won't necessarily need that, but it's a fun collector's item. Dan says, in regards to Polaroid, like the company, is there a certain direction you'd like to see them go in terms of coming out with certain discontinued film or coming out with a new foldable SLR? Okay, so this is like the age-old question, sort of. In terms of the foldable SLR, no. Polaroid is not going to do that, and I don't recommend that they even try, because if they do that, they're going bankrupt quick. In terms of the direction of the company, I'd like to see them release more special edition 600 film. I'd like to see the price of film come down a little bit. But personally, I've said this a few times, I really don't mind that Polaroid is like pushing the I-type thing and is just staying alive as a company. As long as 600 film and SX70 film are around and they keep producing it, I'm happy. The film is the thing. That's my belief. The film is the thing. Don't care what they do in terms of cameras. They have the camera. This is the camera. They're not going to make another camera like this. They don't need to. But this is all I need. As long as I can keep feeding this and feeding the SLR 680, I'm a happy camper. So in terms of Polaroid's direction, survival, special edition film types for fun, and yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I want from Polaroid. Someone asked about Super Sense, and someone just asked, is pack film coming back in a big way? I've seen interest in the community increase in pack film recently, but that's probably because I'm just like, I released a few videos about it, so I'm like focused on that a little bit more. But I don't know. I mean, we did a live on Instagram a little while ago about these rumors, which I've heard no update on, about Kodak potentially getting into the pack film game. I think that would be like the greatest thing to possibly happen to this community. I mean, people would freak out. And I've talked to some people who really think that it is possible that they would do such a thing. I thought it was impossible. I thought it was like silly thing to even expect Kodak to ever do that. But the fact that Kodak could produce pack film, and that's rumored, is a little bit hype. Vince, oh no, the rumors. Yeah, I don't want to get started too much on these rumors, but they are a thing. That someone said it. I just had to broadcast it. I'm done with the rumors. Vince was helping spread this rumor. In fact, he was confirming with 100% certainty that Kodak was making pack film again, and we just had to take him at his word. It's coming back. He's doing it right now. It's coming back, he says. Yeah, Vince has the inside scoop. Stirring the pot. We love to stir that pot. Stir the pot a little bit and hit the dab. You got to hit a pocket dab. So you got your dab in your pocket. Hit it. Oh my God, Lauren Brown's in the iZone squad, and her iZone camera is iconic. This is the iZone of Lauren Brown, is what it says on a sticker. Ian McKellen says, can you give a rip to my recently deceased SX70? Rest in peace to Ian's SX70. Hopefully you can get it fixed. Brendan Parker asks a really interesting question. What's the most effort you've put into a single shot? I mean, professionally, I've spent, an entire day on one shot before. Like when you get to commercial photography, it can be a little bit overkill sometimes, and it's when you get clients involved and stuff like that. But personally, that's a great question. I mean, I'd say effort is a broad question, but what I'll say is that I've gone back to spots before. I've gotten a shot that I was unhappy with, that I knew I could retime when I was there and how I could accomplish it better. That I consider high effort. Like, I really thought about this. I really want to redo this. I really think that we can go out and try this again and do it better. And I think I've gone to some spots like 3 times just to like get something that I'm really proud of. So I'd say that's like a high effort kind of shot. I'm not sure I know exactly which shot that would be, but it's something I've definitely done. People are still asking me my thoughts on the Polaroid Go. I should have put a disclaimer down in the bar on the bottom down here saying we are not discussing the Polaroid Go on this chat. Eventually I will be able to talk about that. Oh, Matthew says, not strictly Polaroid related, but I would love to see some lighting related videos. Well, Matthew, you are in luck because I am working on a lighting video right now. I think it's going to be very helpful. I think a lot of people who pick up a Polaroid camera don't necessarily, or come from it from like a cell phone user perspective. A lot of people, especially from Instax, where they've taken a bunch of photos on their phone, they're looking for something real, they get into instant film. These are the beginners we're talking about here. And so they don't necessarily know the fundamentals of lighting because the phone is taking care of so much of that for them, which is fine. Like, that's like totally understandable. You don't just get into photography and immediately know how lighting like works and how to shape it and everything. So I'm going to be doing a video that is hopefully going to be helpful to people. Even if you've been in the game, maybe some of these tips will help you achieve better lighting on Polaroid, because Polaroid, the lighting is very important. Very, very important. Matt Hopkins going nuts. Matt Hopkins going off. Matt Hopkins puts hummus and hot sauce in his mac and cheese. Go ahead and jump on Matt Hopkins and rip him to shreds if you disagree if you agree that that's a bad idea. Daniel Suzuki says, do you prefer shooting indoors or outdoors? In studio or outdoors? I often shoot in studio out of convenience, to be honest. The fact that I can control the lighting, I can do everything manually, is a huge benefit to shooting in the studio. And for certain shots, it's definitely preferable for me in some ways. But outdoors is where it's at. In the summer or in the spring, I'm not talking COVID, but like going on vacation, going out and shooting and exploring and using a Polaroid camera that way and capturing memories like that, that's like the mix right there. I think that would be like my favorite way to use Polaroid is while exploring. And certainly my book, Roadside Hudson Valley, was sort of exploration based. I had to find all those locations. And so that was such a fun use of Polaroid. I would say outdoors. Long-winded, that's my answer. This is wild. Yeah, check me out on Instagram. Some people, I don't push my Instagram very hard on YouTube. I just assume people know it, but it's at the.instantgram. A lot of people didn't know I had a YouTube channel because I had the Instagram account before the YouTube channel, obviously, like a year before that. So Side the Cool Guy says, what are your thoughts on the SX70 model with the rangefinder instead of the SLR? He's talking about the Model 3. And I think anyone who's Model 3 gang needs to try to put hummus in there and hot sauce in their mac and cheese and see if that makes them happy, because I don't recommend either of those things. Interesting. Shelio says, how long can I keep my Polaroid on the shelf between pictures, like shots 4 and 5? He's talking, and I've thought about this a lot. He's talking about you take a photo with your camera, maybe it's hot outside, maybe the AC is not strong enough. You're worried about your camera getting hot and the film getting ruined inside it because the camera's just sitting out maybe for like a week. I have thought about that. I don't really recommend putting it in the fridge at that point, like your entire camera, because the film is no longer sealed in the same way it was when it was in that cellophane pack. So moisture will start getting introduced to the camera and to the film, which is bad for it. So I wouldn't recommend putting your camera in the fridge. You could probably seal it in a bag, especially a folding SX70. You could fold it up, probably do that. I think it's overkill. I think my advice is just shoot it. I think if you're going to open a pack of Polaroid film, be prepared to shoot it and not let it sit out for too long, because I've done that before and the results are nuts. They're cool, but they're nuts. Oh my God, people are talking about hot sauce and hummus. Brendan's asking me for my thoughts on the Model 3. I would say rewind about a couple minutes and you'll know my thoughts on that Model 3. I'm not Model 3 gang. That's all I'll say. Hot Pink Bulb is saying they might be talking about like the box type SX70. Sorry about that. But to address that, the box type SX70 cameras, I don't recommend those. I don't think there's any reason to really shoot SX70 film in a box type camera unless you just like the look of it in broad daylight, which is valid. But, because just to clear the air here, I love shooting with the SLR cameras. I think that's my number one recommendation. I never really recommend anyone invest fully in the plastic cameras if you can avoid it. The plastic lens cameras, they're great to start on, but they are a look. I have nothing against those cameras. I think if you're shooting with something like an Impulse or a 660 or a Super Color AF or whatever, the Polaroid Now, there's a lot you can do with those cameras that are very creative and cool and are a different look than the glass lens cameras, which is equally valid. There's nothing against that. So if you like the way SX70 film looks inside a Pronto or something, check out what people have posted or shot with it on Flickr. That's an easy way to look. Or Instagram, maybe, if you can find that. Then I would say go for it. Why not? Oh my gosh. There's a lot of hype going on in the chat right now. Hashtag cancel Ben has come out. I'm guessing this is regarding either the hummus or the Polaroid 3. Serving Luke's. Excuse me. Don't mean to adjust my nose on camera like that. Hold on, I'm scrolling back a little bit. Mock is wondering if he should hold off on picking up a Lomo Square because of the new Polaroid camera. I mean, the film is less expensive, so I would recommend, if that's what if you're just interested in Instax, I would get an Instax Square camera, but I wouldn't think too hard about that, and just get what you want to get now, and don't wait. Hein Peter says, Ben, what kind of clients do you work with or work for? I work with a lot of larger businesses for commercial projects. I work with agencies mostly, stuff like IBM, Verizon, really cool clients, awesome stuff, and really fun projects that I've done with those companies. Photography-wise, sometimes I do work through those agencies and do photo shoots as well, but I also do a lot of packaging shoots. So I'm in this building downstairs. We've got a design team, and they design packages for a bunch of as seen on TV products, a bunch of stuff like Bed Bath & Beyond, private label brands, stuff like that. So I'll do product photography for that, or with models and stuff, of a whole range. I really shoot a lot of different kinds of stuff, which keeps it exciting for me. Kelton Wimmer, and somebody also asked this, what cameras do you use for your professional work? In terms of that kind of photography, I will never give it up. the Canon 5D SR. It is unbelievable, and it is extremely inexpensive in comparison to what it's offering. The 5D SR is a digital 50 megapixel Canon SLR camera that has the filter on the front of the sensor removed. So it takes like insanely clear images that can have it can have some artifacting because that filter is removed, but for like product photography, it's insane. And I use it as a walking around camera. However, I will probably eventually graduate to Canon's new mirrorless cameras, but for now, I can't go wrong with that. Excuse me. God, my nose is a little bit running. Hold on. All right. That's the extent of my sniffling. Oof. Emily says if there was a problem in your studio, like a fire, and you could only run with one camera, what would it be? If we're talking Polaroid SLR 680, I think 100%. I think the Goose would be interesting, an interesting choice, but the fact that it flips integral images is a big bummer. I don't think I would want to like stick with that as my main camera. Oh, JP, have you used the 5D SR? He says he's gang. 50 megapixels, let's go. It's insane, that camera is insane. It's so inexpensive. It's like $1,300 for that, which in the grand scheme of things is absurdly cheap. Excuse me. Josiah says, thoughts on the One Step Plus? If you could, are there any improvements that you would make upon it? I think the One Step Plus is pretty cool. I think adding the lens elements that the Impossible i1 has would be a good way to improve that camera, and autofocus. So it, basically just make another i1. I think that would be a good idea for Polaroid to do. I don't know. I think that camera's awesome. So I think if they did that and sort of just souped up the battery a little bit, that would be nice. Ray says, congrats on the first year. Thank you so much. Also, the other thing that's kind of interesting about buying something like the One Step Plus, which retails for like $125, you could almost pretty much get an SX70 for that amount. I'm not really sure why people do that. I'm curious. I mean, if you're in the comments and you bought something like a One Step Plus over an SX70, I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on that. Like, why did you make that purchase? It's interesting to me because you could buy an SX70 for the same cost, and it has less features, obviously, but Lauren says she's not saving. Oh, I'm not saving her iZone if there's a fire. Lauren, trust me, the iZone is safe. The iZone is in a flame retardant bag that is the emergency bag. This is the bag I grab. The bag I grab if a flame breaks out in the studio because one of the lights fell over. It has Lauren's iZone. It has my SLR 680. It has some pack film, and yeah, I mean, we'd have to sort of fill out that list. I'm not really sure. Evening Grommet. Oh my God! Someone is saying that their DSLR is nothing compared to their Nokia MK1200 flip phone. That's for sure. Someone's asking for top 3 female Polaroid shooters. So number 1 would definitely be Jamie Swick. She's possibly my favorite Polaroid photographer in general. Also love what Maddie is doing with this macro Polaroid photography. I think it's incredible. Also Joan Michelle, she's gang. Joan is getting further and further into instant photography, and we're always sort of figuring that out. But Joan's photography is amazing, and I always have to give a shout out to Joan. So definitely that would be like my top list, I think. If I have to make a list, which I feel bad about doing, and I never really like to make lists of top people. But in terms of recommendations, I would say definitely check them out. Wow. Sunny D says 1 year worth of pack film or 10 years of integral film. Pick one. Man, I don't know about that. 1 year worth of pack film. Well, then I would be done in a year. That wouldn't be so fun. 10 years of integral, easy choice. Benny's bag of iZone. Also, shout out to Lauren. I mean, if we're talking female photographers here, Lauren obviously does get credit in this community because she is like featured in the channel a lot and on the Instagram. But like, Lauren went from not having any experience with photography really besides her phone and her iZone, to having to handle stuff like the SLR 680 and the SX70 and like manual cameras a little bit more frequently than she would have. And at first was definitely nervous. Like I could feel like holding the camera. It's scary because it's like a very like precious object. But yeah, she does a great job. And when she has to step in and take like a photo of me, which is always like weird, she does a great job. And yes, absolute big shout outs to Maddie. Yeah, everyone follow her on Instagram because, I mean, her stuff is insane and so creative. And everybody here in this chat is supporting her, which I love to see. Wow. Okay. Bass DeGroot says, regarding the SX70 versus One Step Plus, because I asked why would you buy the One Step Plus over the SX70, he says, I personally prefer the manual function over SLR viewing. That's really interesting. I mean, the lens on the SX70 is so much better than the One Step Plus, and to me, the lens is 100% of the whole thing. That's, again, my personal preference. And the manual aspect of the One Step Plus isn't providing you with like that much. If you become very comfortable with your SX70 or your SLR 680, you know that light meter like the back of your hand, which I have fully mapped, and I stare at it every night to make sure I remember how all the like little divots. If you have that down and you really understand the light meter in your camera, because it does differ with every camera, you're almost shooting with a manual camera. I know it's different, but you know how your camera is going to react in every situation, and you can adjust accordingly. And that's how I shoot. And I don't really feel the need to get something like a Mint 670 because I don't need the manual options there, because I feel like my camera with the automatic exposure is fine because I'm very familiar with the light meter. Lauren's getting shout outs. The queen of the iZone queen, Joan Worthman. Lauren is the queen for good reasons. Absolutely. She is. Shout out to Lauren. Check out her account, lbrownie13 on Instagram. I'm trying to make her post more because she has taken a bunch of photos that I feel like we should post under her account. I think that would be cool. Interesting question from Julio. Are we doing a disservice to the medium if we dive into instant photography but stick to Instax? Not gonna lie, the other harder to find, more expensive stuff feels daunting. I think that instant film in 2021 foundationally, unavoidably means Instax and Polaroid both exist and are instant photography. One is not less valuable than the other. Instax is extremely important for getting people interested in instant film and engaging with this community. And so I don't think ever sell yourself short for shooting Instax. If Polaroid is harder to find or it's inaccessible price-wise, don't worry about it. Instax is great. Vince is stirring the pot, and I love it because we have on good word from Vince Perry Jr., remember the name, follow him on YouTube, follow him on Instagram. We have 100% confirmation that Kodak is releasing pack film within the next 2 years. And that's my source. Lean on that source. Follow him for more news because he'll be keeping us posted on all the new developments. We're just trying to manifest it. That's what Vince is saying. We're just trying to manifest it. I'm all about that. When I went live and was talking about those rumors, I was just trying to manifest it. We still have 100 people in this freaking live. I can't believe it. Lauren's saying, don't post my Insta. I don't post enough. Well, we're trying to get more content on there. I'm getting Vince in trouble right now. Is that a dabbing emoji? Oh my God. Dude, how did you even get that? I want that. That looks like a dabbing emoji to me. I'm going to have to ask you where you got that. I feel like dabbing's like number one for me. Like, dabbing went from being, well, first of all, it went from being like something Cam Newton did and made really popular, you know, hitting the dab like that. Then very quickly, once it became popular, it became cringe to dab. Like, if you're dabbing, you look like an insane person. You look like a fool. And then I think, in my opinion, and this might just be me, it crossed a threshold over to now it's funny to dab, and dabbing's like hilarious. So I'm absolutely pro dabbing at this point. Vince is manifest gang, posting the dabbing emoji, pro dabbing. Nate says, do you ever think Instax will size up the dimensions of to Polaroid, or do you think the copyright wars will keep them going that far? I think one of the main things that Instax deals with is that the film clearly their machinery and whatever they've invested in this system has a limit to the height that they can offer for their film. So, excuse me, Instax wide is the same height as Polaroid. So they've already got a film that's the same height as Polaroid and is just as wide in terms of the actual like film dimensions. The aspect ratio is obviously much different than Polaroid. But so in terms of where the pod is placed and how tall the film is, Instax is set on that height. I don't think they're going to release a larger film size. Also, Instax is very cute, and it's inexpensive, and it's cute and little, and I think that is appealing to people. I don't think that Instax is like feeling too much pressure to make a larger film size, especially because Instax Y I don't think is very huge for them. But they did go to Instax Square. Like, there's merit to that because they obviously recognized that the square film was important. Excuse me. Oh my God. Forrest is like, I don't know why Forrest just laid into me like this. I followed your tiny 8x10 account so you can post the light leaky pictures from your broken camera. And then he dabbed on me. Forrest is like, what did I do to Forrest? I don't even think he was in the hummus chat. I feel like devastated. Forrest is just like absolutely swagging on me. I feel like that was uncalled for. But all the dabs in the chat are, Jesus Christ, people are dropping stuff upstairs. People are just dabbing in the chat right now, which is huge. Captain Chaos says Kodak made the first polar color negative material for Kodak made tons of stuff for Polaroid. Kodak was Polaroid for a very, very long time. But that was over 40 years ago now. And so it's not like they have that machinery anymore. And Kodak is a smaller company, probably not looking to invest six figures on new machinery. That's like the barrier that I'm not understanding with how they could possibly produce pack film at this point. Daniel Suzuki says, do you think you'll be able to shoot 20x24 one day? I think the answer is yes, I will be able to, because at some point, Lauren and I are going to get to Vienna at some juncture, and we're definitely going to want to pop into Super Sense and talk with Doc, do like an episode out there, shoot on the 20x24. Definitely in the cards. I would love to do that. Mock says, have you seen An Impossible Project yet? He's talking about this movie that features Florian Kapp's The Story of Polaroid, Polaroid's Return. Unfortunately, it's only out in the UK right now. There's no way to watch it unless I use like a VPN probably from the US. So unfortunately, there's no way to watch that movie yet for most people. I can't wait though. Ben Snow says, do you think digital instant cameras are worth buying in any situation at all? I would say they're worth buying if you are sort of a beginner that is like like maybe for buying a Christmas gift for somebody that's like not into instant photography at all, but likes like little tech toys. It's like a tech toy, I think. It's a printer. I mean, it's a camera, obviously. It's a digital camera that prints out Instax Mini. It's not like the light is hitting the camera and then hitting the film. So it's not like instant photography, really. But it's a cool device. I mean, I would say if you've got someone in your life that you think would appreciate that kind of gadget. Oh my God, Forrest Burke he's sort of apologized for leaning into me like that. By the way, not all my 8x10s have light leaks. We're working on that. Intrepid is replacing my back, and it should be here tonight. Yeah, Hot Pink Bulb, Benny Bags in Vienna Summer Series. It'll happen eventually. Ian McKellen says YRA, and then he never finished his comment. So I don't think we'll ever know what he meant to say. Lauren says France to Austria Euro trip 2020 when? Well, 2021, I would think. Maybe 2022, but we're definitely gonna figure that out. And Lauren and I are trying to figure out how to freaking stream this Impossible Project movie. So we'll see. Forrest is officially a target for me. Forrest Burke in 10 minutes went from being someone I loved in this community to someone that I now has a sniper, what is it called? Like an aim assist on his head. Aim assist is not the word either. Aim assist is not the word either. Nate says, what are your thoughts on the Dispo app that lets your phone mimic that of a disposable camera and not seeing your pictures until the following day? I'm going to run with this question a little bit because there's a broader thing to talk about here. There's a lot of people that hate on like film filters or mimicking film in the digital space. So the Dispo app is an interesting example because I think, I don't have this app, but I think what you're saying is it mimics the look of a disposable camera and it locks the photo away, doesn't show you the next day. I think that is cool. That's like an interesting psychological feature. That's kind of fun. I think it's kind of silly though, because obviously it's digital file, it's there. But generally in terms of modifying digital photography to look like film, I have zero issues with that. I think there's a reason people love the look of film, and sometimes it's impractical to shoot film in certain situations. You could really shoot film all the time, but like financially, sometimes if you're going on a trip, it's very hard to carry film with you or whatever. There's situations where you're gonna take digital photos that you want to make look more like film. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with anything anyone does to their film in terms of modifying it. I think it's art, it's freaking photography, it's do whatever you want. Unless you're doing it for a client, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Ian is now apologizing for his cutoff comment, but all is forgiven. Daniel says, do you think we'll go shoot Polaroids on Mars one day? That is in the discussion. I'm just going to say that much. Taylor says, any thoughts on 3D cameras or 3D photography? I don't know enough about 3D photography, to be honest. Are you talking about like something where in post you have to wear 3D glasses, like a 3D film? I don't think that it has that many practical applications. We saw there was an explosion of 3D televisions back in the day, and that is gone now, because until they can figure out technologically how to basically use AR, I think, to display stuff in 3D without the need for like crazy glasses, I don't think it will be very like popular until then. You think we'll get a big shot video? Asked GB. Broadly, I'm not going to do review videos on pack film cameras that, besides the Goose, because it can also shoot integral film. But there's not going to be any like reviews on pack film cameras like the Big Shot, as much as it is a cool camera. Oh, he's talking about like an Ashika, says Ali. Well, if he is, those cameras are cool. Those that take like a sequence of 4 images on the film plane that are like half frame images. Those cameras are sick, but and like a Nimslo, but they're plastic and can break easily, and there's no manual settings. That aspect of it is kind of annoying. Never Bored of Gaming asks, what's your opinion on the Polaroid Lab? Seems kind of useless to me. I don't know, haha. My opinion about the Polaroid Lab is that it has its use. I genuinely think the Polaroid Lab has a function. I mean, certainly as someone that's in production, I've used the Polaroid Lab several times to create props. I've had people that are production designers come to me, ask me how to approach displaying Polaroids in a film, which is extremely common. Polaroids are in tons of films and TV shows, and someone was asking me, like, how do I pull this off? I said, gotta get the Polaroid Lab. The Lab is a great way to do this. And it's great for arts and crafts. It's great for, if you make like a wedding invitation, you want to include a Polaroid. I think it's a great way to use it for that. There's a lot of crafting and production uses for the Polaroid Lab. And again, I'm never going to tell anybody that what they want to do with their film is stupid. So as much as I'm not like necessarily trying to take a digital photo, print it on the Polaroid Lab, and call that a Polaroid, you know, I might use it for like a promotional thing, but I'm not going to like say I took this on my SLR 680 or something and I ran it through the Polaroid Lab. I would never use it for that, but it has its use. That's all I'll say. And it makes more money for Polaroid, which I think is a good thing for sure. Kelton's, this is a sweet question that I definitely would like to answer. Kelton Wimmer says, who is your favorite Pola buddy and why is it Matty Ice? Well, besides Lauren, obviously, it was really fun sort of introducing Matt to Polaroids and sort of in the, I've shown him my cameras before, but the video that was the camera shootout in the studio, excuse me, I've been talking for like an hour and a half, hold on. Okay. That was such a fun day, and I think Matt like really got interested in Polaroids that day because he got to really see like the magic of it come to life. And Matt is like me, as you can tell in the videos, very enthusiastic people. We just love to love stuff, and we love our analog cameras, we love film, and so to sort of sweep him into this journey a little bit and get him interested in this was really cool and really fun. And he's an absolute like blast to have in videos. He's amazing on camera. I mean, we love Matty Ice. We love Matty Ice. Ian asked about the RF70. There's a review coming next month. We're talking now going to Scotland. We're working on it. Bromance. Yeah, it is a bromance. Incast, I saw there was a comment. Incast Studio says, what would you consider the best instant camera? I would say definitely the SLR 680. Great question from Alan Walden. Travel tip. Now that we're getting closer potentially to the time we can travel again, is it safe to carry Instax or Polaroid through TSA X-ray machines? Foil bag, should I get them examined by hand? I recommend 100% get your film hand checked. It is not worth it. If Polaroid film specifically, I know, because I've had it happen to me, if you run that through your X-ray machine, whether it's in your hand-checked luggage, or sorry, whether it's in your luggage that's on you, or whether you check it, the check scanners are crazy powerful. So definitely carry it on. Carry on your film, have them hand-check it, because X-rays will absolutely cause crazy streaks on the film. Sometimes it's worse than others. I've actually not really experienced that much with Instax. I've had a couple trips where I was like careless and just packed the film. And it actually didn't happen with Instax. I don't know why, because it is a higher ISO film, which is supposedly more affected by X-ray machines. But my advice, always hand check your film. It's just like the smart thing to do. Basta Groot says instant film love is more contagious than coronavirus. I feel that there is some truth to that. Not to the coronavirus element, jokingly, but instant film is very addicting. It's sort of like collecting in a way. Like you're taking photos. There's like a high risk element because you're not sure how it's going to come out. It's a physical object, so you're sort of collecting a physical memory every time you take a photo. It's really unique, and it keeps people coming back. People who start shooting instant film, a lot of them can't stop. They make an Instagram account for it. They get like addicted to that as well. It's cool. Dan, I just answered that question about X-ray. I don't recommend it. It's not good for the film. Excuse me. Instant Charlie says, have you been able to get a working Berkey Wizard? I've not replaced my Berkey. I got that camera for the video because I thought it was like a really cool part of history, but no, I don't have a functioning one. And I'm not like looking for one really. I just think it's cool. Toko Fukawa says, is the SX70 Model 3 an acceptable camera? If you're good with zone focusing, I would say the Model 3 has the same lens as the SX70, so it's a good camera in that way. I think functionally, I don't know why anyone would buy. I know you have one. I know you have a Model 3. I don't recommend buying that. I would much rather have a regular SX70 with a through-the-lens viewfinder. Taylor wants to know if I'm going to be doing a giveaway for the RF70 after the review. Gosh, I wish. Mock says, there's sort of a gambling type addiction here, isn't there? There definitely is. Brendan Parker says, Ben, are you Amigo gang? I am Amigo gang, but I'm not Model 3 gang. I am also Macro 5 gang. Oh, Dan's asking about the camera. Yeah, you can run cameras through X-rays. It's fine. Emily's saying we come to Ireland. I think we should go. I think Lauren and I should just do the freaking world tour. Take off of work for a year, spend all of our life savings, and just tour the world. Meet everyone from this community. It's crazy how international this community is. A minority of my viewers are from the U.S., which is really cool. I really love that element of it. It's very like global feeling. Mock says it's okay to say the Model 3 is shite. Yeah, it is shite. It is shite. Soren wants to know if I recommend getting a gold-plated SX70. I fully recommend it. Spend all your money on a gold-plated SX70. I recommend it highly. Hot Pink Bulb, your machine have been talking for like 2 hours now. I'm feeling it. I think I'm going to lose my voice probably. I've never done a live this long. But I was thinking like for the 1 year anniversary, I'll just go until I'm like, I'm going until I'm like running out of steam. I can't believe there's still like 95 people in here. This is so insane. Oscar says, come to SoCal. Definitely come to SoCal. I have family in LA, so I'm definitely going to be coming to LA, hopefully soon after getting vaccinated. Because through this community, I've met a lot of people in LA. As much as like New York City is like obviously a hub for artists, there's a lot of folks out in LA. A lot of like friends out in LA. So I'm definitely coming out there. Captain Chaos says, then there's one schmuck from the next town. The thing with now I see that you kind of have a picture of yourself. Captain Chaos was one of the first people to identify sort of where I live, which is alarming a little bit because you're on the internet. You're not trying to like broadcast your address, nor comment it publicly necessarily. But it's difficult when I don't know your name or anything like that. Like you had a username without a picture. I was like, I don't know what this is. It's kind of nerve-wracking. Anyone would understand what I'm talking about, I think, if you had a YouTube channel and you're putting yourself out there. Vander5 says, on that note, I'm super curious about how this analog photography community turned into a global phenomenon, crossing cultures, not being limited to the Western or Eastern world. It's a very good question. I think that, to be honest, first of all, analog photography obviously was the standard. There was no other type of photography for 150, 200 years. So it was the standard. So like it was obviously in place everywhere in the world. It wasn't like analog is like a new thing to different communities. So photography, if you're interested in photography, capturing life onto an image, which is a global human interest that I think everybody has, I think that is something that everybody has, so everybody had analog products. Now, the digital revolution happened. Everybody got phones. Everywhere in the world, people got phones. Photography became more popular because everyone could accessibly take more and more photos. Everybody, I think, in their brains, in their bodies, felt that as we moved toward digital, something was lost a little bit. Some connection to photography on like a very tangible level was lost. And people didn't really start realizing that, I don't think, till like 7 years ago. As you can see with how the industry has increased in scale, people just started slowly being like, actually, I kind of like analog products. And so I think it is just a global human feeling to want analog things back in your life now that the world has gone so digital. And I think that that's universal. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's really cool. And I love that this community is so international. I think it's awesome. Tobias says, do you recommend the Lomo Instant Square Glass? So I did a review on that camera, and I'm going to be honest, I don't use the camera that often because of the viewfinder. I think the camera's potential is incredible, and I think the cameras that it can take are astounding. But yeah, I mean, just the viewfinder kind of kills me, and the zone focusing. I hate zone focusing, so that's really hard for me. Nate says, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to the American Sign Museum at some point. Got to get that mid-century signage. Can somebody give Ben a new cup of coffee? Yeah, this is out. I'm going to run out of vocal strength soon. Soren says, if somebody were to hold hostage in exchange for Lauren's iZone, what would your chances of survival be? Someone were to hold you hostage in exchange for Lauren's iZone. No, the iZone is never leaving the family. So I would be dead, unfortunately. She would have no choice. Wooter says, question, I got myself an RB67. Awesome. Do you recommend getting an I-type back for it? Because Aaron makes one. I don't know if Aaron makes one. Aaron on eBay. If Aaron does make one, I recommend his products totally. He's incredible, and he makes awesome stuff. You will have significant black borders on your images. If that matters to you, take that into account. But I would recommend it. I mean, if you can afford to buy an I-type back for that camera, I would definitely do it. The Archetype is signing off. Good night, my friend. Vander wanted to ask that global analog question to his photography professor. So now we've got the answer from in an instant here. And Oscar says, agree 100%. Instant film has reignited my love for photography. I think I was also sort of on the edge with photography. I love photography, and I've always been engaged in it and the community in some ways, but getting further into the instant film community has been a really big thing for me in terms of keeping me really invested on that sort of a human level. Daniel Suzuki says, when's the first In an Instant Con? It's tough because of the global aspect of it. I don't really want to do a virtual festival, but I would love to do something like that. Dan says spell iCup. Let's talk about this. So he wants me to spell iCup, which is spelled I-C-U-P. So the indication there is that I've seen U-P. So that when you spell iCup, you're saying I've seen U-P. And why would you want me to say that? That was always my question growing up. I was like, I don't understand this one. You're making somebody tell you that they watched you pee. It doesn't really have the same ring to it as like, what's up, dog? Or, you know, saying like, what is, like, spell, like, what, actually, I forgot how the up dog thing works, but you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't have the same appeal. You're getting your friend to tell you they watched you piss. I just don't think that has the same ring to it. Ooh, Ralph Hoskins. Who's the better number one, Benjamin Linus or Hurley? I think Hurley, but I do think Ben Linus has some interesting managerial skills. The Wet Coast says, how many instant pictures have you taken? What do you do with them after you've taken them? After you've looked at them? Well, I have a bunch on display. I also have a binder, and I told some people that I am gonna be doing a video about storage, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about that. Okay, so Forrest Burke says, Ben, how are you liking that up dog? And then I would say, what's up dog? So that's how it works. Forrest, I believe, is coming back toward my acceptable circle here. Forrest almost burned his reputation in this chat with me. We almost just lost it. Mark Tushin says, Ben, how do you know Joe? Which Joe? My dad's name is Joe. Maybe that's the Joe you're talking about? I don't know. Clarify which Joe you mean in the comments. Vander5 says, you saw me pee. And that's the thing. Like, do you want me to? I don't know why you would want me to see you pee. Toko is going nuts on the Model 3. Look, I love this guy. He's watching the channel. He's a loyal viewer, but oh, Joe Mama. Oh, I got owned. I got owned on the live stream. Joe Mama. Okay, for this one, you reach in your pocket, you get out the pocket dab, and then you hit it. We'll leave it there. I saw you pee. Yeah, Shelios. Forrest is trying really hard to redeem himself. I don't know. I mean, I think Forrest is well on his way to getting back in my good graces, but this is an interesting question from Chase Feely. Other than retro photography, is there other retro tech that you like to use or use? Well, I think like a lot of people, I love record players. I was very into vinyl for a long time. To be honest, I've sort of faded on that. Not for any like technological reason. I think vinyl is so cool, and it's very beautiful and wondrous to listen to it and have like a large physical version of your favorite music. But I just don't love listening to music like that. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just like the process of it is not that enjoyable to me anymore. So I sort of lost that a little bit. Other like tech products that are old school. I have a couple typewriters I love. I don't use them. I really want to use them though, so that's a goal for sure. I don't know. I'll keep thinking about that. I've always wanted a vintage car. I have a Jeep because I like that it is in the same visual design language as the old Jeeps, but it is, you know, a newer car, so it's not really. I mean, it's pretty analog. It doesn't have like a crazy radio or anything. Cars are analog. I'm just gonna say that, unless you have an electric car. Ralph is asking me when the Polarchrome video is coming. I think it's coming. I don't know. I have some examples to show, and I'm pretty much love that film. So I would like to talk about it, but I'm concerned it's too niche. I'm not really sure. Sometimes with videos that are a little too niche, like, should I do a whole video on this? I'm not really sure. Maybe that's a good use for the Patreon. Like a Patreon maybe is a good place to like do something where I'm not really sure I could do on the main channel. I have heard of Joe Mama now, so that could be good. Could be good for the channel to explore Joe Mama. I would love to. A better angle says, I'm off, Ben. Thanks for this. Thank you. Thank you to friggin' over 90 people that are still in this chat. Thank you to Joe Mama. Christopher says, why do you prefer the SLR 680 to the SX70? Well, I'll break it down a little bit. So the reason that I would use an SX70 is because I can use wider apertures outdoors because the camera is calibrated to use lower light film. So if I'm using SX70 film, which is a slower speed film, with if I take a close up or a medium shot, it's going to give me more bokeh. It's going to give me more separation with the background because it has the slower film and the wider aperture. So that's the benefit of using the SX70, which I love the SX70. I mean, look at him. He's wearing a hat. When I would use the SLR680 is just in more flexible situations. The fact that 600 film is more available. I had a bum SX70 film recently. Polaroid literally couldn't replace. They had to give me a gift card. So that is annoying. I could just use 600 film with an ND filter, but I just don't shoot. I shoot quick. Like I'm banging. I'm banging. It has been a long stream. I'm sorry. And so I move quickly. And so I'm cycling through packs. I'm not trying to apply this ND filter usually when I'm on the go. I'm on the go a lot. So I'm not trying to futz with that much stuff. So the liberty of using 600 film in the SLR680 is big. And having the flash is really nice. I rarely use flash, but the fact that it is built into the camera is really nice and fun for certain shots. Captain Chaos has been, wow, he has 100 antique and vintage electric fans. That's crazy. Almost all working, been restored. That's really cool. We have like a Vornado, like a vintage fan that is really cool. So we'd probably like to get more of those. What's your favorite color? Says Brendan Parker. Orange for the Broncos. Orange and blue, baby. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And do you ever get tired of answering questions? I really don't get tired of answering questions. Something that you have to orient with yourself when you're doing this YouTube thing is like, you come into it with a certain amount of experience, and you have to be aware that a lot of people commenting have completely different experiences than you. So you have to enter every question fresh, which is a challenge. Like when you've heard a similar question a lot, you have to like make sure you're not like being a dick and being like, oh, I've already answered that, like whatever. You have to be friendly, and I never get tired of being like friendly with people in this community because they're all doing it for the love. They're coming at it from like an open heart. I want to learn something. I'm here to be like, I want to learn stuff and I want to teach stuff if I have information that you don't have. So it's all about the exchange of information. I don't get tired of it. Daniel Suzuki is skadoodling. It's late in England. Rest well, my friend. Again, global audience here, knocking my cup. Zach Cat says, hey, Ben, any Polaroid history nuggets that we might not know? Depends on how much you've read into the Polaroid history. I think one of the craziest things about Polaroid film, or Edwin Land's invention of Polaroid, is that the SX70 is named that because it was the 70th project within the Polaroid company. The prior projects, like SX69, nice, SX65, SX60, all the way down to SX1, were mostly for war. Polaroid was a major wartime company. In fact, Polaroid barely survived after World War II because they had produced so much imaging equipment, aerial gimbals, photography technology that could be used mobily during wartime. They had massive contracts. Edwin Land was a very, very close partner with like 6 different presidents. He was on the short list of everybody because he had this incredible mind and can seriously help during wartime with all their different technological needs. I think it's an interesting tidbit. I mean, Polaroid eventually did survive through the post-war period because they came up with the SX70, or with peel apart film, sorry, and got that going. So that was obviously huge. Josh says, hey, Benny, happy channelversary. Thank you so much. Can't believe people are still here. This is amazing. JP says, can you do a what's in your fridge in one of your IG one day? I definitely should do that. The only reason I haven't done that is because I have 2 fridges. So like I would have to do like 2. I could just split it up into 2 episodes, I guess. Sunny D, who's still here, I'm guessing he comes in and out. Manifest Kodak pack film or manifest a Broncos dynasty in the next 2 years. Brother, Sunny, I'm trying, bro. I am trying, bro. I'm trying my best. If I can get the Broncos to have a dynasty and Kodak pack film, I will pass away a happy boy. Well, I won't be happy that I'm dead because I will have missed the pack film that I could have shot, but whatever. Retrograde Engineering says, damn, I missed most of it. Well, damn, you made it. You made it, though. You made it. You're part of this 1 year anniversary special, and we're just having a blast in here. Toko is having an existential crisis in here. He's brought up the Model 3 probably 10 times, and I feel that this man is having a situation where he doesn't know what to do with his Model 3. You know, am I respected in the community? Is my Model 3 a problem that I need to fix? Look, man, if you like your Model 3, don't give up on it. But it's definitely inferior to the regular SX70s. You don't have to do anything. How much longer are we going, says Brendan. I think I'm going to go for 5 more minutes. And the thing that I'm concerned about is that I've put a mirror up to my camera, and I can see that the battery is blinking. So it is going to die. I'm thinking I'm going to try to make it till 5 p.m. and then I'll sign off. Matt Hopkins is doing amazing. Model 3 is the best camera, says Brendan Parker. He's Model 3 gang, so he's biased. I'm unbiased because I don't own it, which is also a bias. Incast Studio says, I know you said the Lomograph doesn't work well with the Goose, but do you think it's possible to make an adapter with a built-in spacer so you can use the viewfinder for focusing? I don't think so. I think the problem is that the viewfinder cannot be, unless you break it down and build it up, cannot be calibrated to be used, even if there's a spacer in the back. It's a little bit confusing to me. I don't think there's really going to be a way to do it unless you use a ground glass, which you can get for the Goose, and get a holder attachment so you could shoot with the Lomograph back, as you would like a 4x5 camera. Have you ever, Nate says, have you ever thought about doing a video on the female engineers and scientists who worked at Polaroid called The Princesses of Polaroid? I definitely have. I've overall thought a lot about that period of Polaroid's history and maybe doing videos about that period. I'm just not sure how much people want to know about the history of Polaroid. I'm not sure like where the interest extends, how far back I can go before people are like, this has nothing to do with the integral film and I'm not like that interested in this. So I don't know, I'm exploring it. But Alan says, a year ago, I found your channel by accident, and I'm so grateful. You reignited my forgotten love for instant photography. My Impulse AF and my 1-600 Pro, my Instax 300, keep me busy and broke. Shout out to Alan. Alan is one of those guys who's always super positive in the comments and really inspires me to keep going. And, you know, I really take those comments to heart, so I really appreciate everything Alan has said. Oh my God. George Trio just realized that the Goose is called the Goose because the 600SE looks like it spells out the Goose. I probably should have mentioned that in the video, and I acknowledge that I didn't do that. But I think seeing people realize that is just as entertaining to me, so I'm almost glad I didn't. Toko is now deleting his own messages. I think this man is having a crisis, and somebody needs to step in to help him, and I'm limited with my ability to do so. Vander5 says, Analog Talk has discussed the unfriendliness found on Reddit, the Reddit film community. Do you have similar experiences with it? I think that the film community can be toxic in a similar way that the digital community can be, and certainly there's trends on that subreddit that I think are very specific, and so I don't love it that much. I think it's inspirational, and there's really beautiful photos on there, and I love seeing shots on that subreddit, but it's not my go-to place, nor is the Polaroid sub. I don't think Reddit's great for photography, to be honest. I just don't think it's like a fun place to browse. All right, I think we're very close to being done here. I just want to make sure that I get to 5 p.m. because I want to make it through the 2-hour mark on the stream. I want to make sure it says 2 hours. Yeah, if you love the Model 3 Toko, go to the Discord, because there's a Model 3 gang there, and they will embrace you.